My name is Nick Benny. I'm a therapist here at the Andrew Center. What you're about to see is a part of a series of videos that I'm doing where I interview different staff here in order to learn and show what it is that we do at the Andrew Center. We have a lot of wonderful, dedicated people working here, and I'm excited for you to be introduced to some of them. These videos can be used by clients, by staff, by community members, really anyone that is interested in learning more about the different ways that we try to serve our community. I hope you enjoy this video, and please see the other videos in this series to learn more. Thank you.
My name is Ashley Davis, and I am the TCOOMMI Program Director here with the Andrew Center.
Okay, so TCOOMMI, tell us what that is.
Well, the acronym stands for Texas Correctional Office on Offenders with Medical and Mental Impairments.
Okay, acronym was the word I was looking for, so that's a mouthful. So right off the bat, I'm hearing corrections and offenders. So this is what we call a forensic program. You work with folks in some way, shape, or form involved with the legal system.
That's correct. So our target population are those that are on parole or probation with mental health needs. And typically our individuals are higher risk of reoffending. We collaborate with the local parole and probation offices for our 5 counties that we serve. So Smith, Henderson, Van Zant, Woods, and Rains County.
Okay, so parole and probation, those are the main folks that you're trying to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't serve anybody that's not on parole or probation. And with probation, it does need to be criminal probation. We can't take on somebody that's just in civil probation. So somebody that's on probation for child support, that's considered civil.
Okay, that's interesting to know. So I do have just a handful of questions about more specifics about your program. So if I, have a sibling or someone I know that I think might be a good fit for your program, what is just the process for getting introduced or referred to your program?
So we get all of our referrals from either TDCJ before the person's even released. And typically those are individuals that have a current history of being treated while in TDC or were recently treated with local mental health authorities like ourselves before incarceration. It flags something and they send us that referral. That's one way. The other way that we get those referrals is directly from the parole and probation officer. So if you have anybody that is interested, they have to talk to their PO first, and their PO submits that referral to me because there's it's a collaboration with them. So there's documentation that we need from the parole and probation officers to be able to get those services started.
Okay. So I, as a citizen of the world, or even as a staff member, can't refer so-and-so to you directly.
No, unfortunately, when we get those calls, we tell them the same thing, that they would need to talk with that probation officer or parole officer.
Okay. So I think it would be helpful, we didn't address this yet, but what are the services that your program provides?
So typically we provide mental health services that we have different levels of intensity. We have our short-term program that's only good for 90 days. And that's typically mostly just getting them connected into services, getting them scheduled to see a doctor. And then after 90 days or within that time frame, we are transferring under Andrew Center or closing out their care, just whatever that need is. So these are really individuals that just don't need as much. Maybe they're higher functioning or they have insurance and are doing really well. Every case is different. And then our next level of care is called transitional case management. And these are individuals need a little bit more than 90 days that really do well having a case manager check in with them. That caseload, we typically work with them for about an hour and a half each month. And we are making sure that we're working on different goals that they have. They're getting in to see the doctor, getting on medication management. And then within that year's time frame, If they're off parole or probation, or if they no longer need it, whichever one of those three come first, we're transferring under Andrew Center or discharging, just again, depending on their need. And then our
Okay.
last level of service is our intensive caseload. This one typically involves 3.5 hours of care each month, so weekly based appointments usually.
Hmm.
And these are folks that need a little bit more. And that program is good for up to 2 years, or again, when they're off parole or probation, or when they no longer need it, whichever of those three come first. And we look for that higher level, we look at what that need is. If we're getting them stable, that they maybe still need our program, but not quite 3.5 hours, we're able to step them down to that transitional caseload and provide that services then under there. And then the last thing that I haven't mentioned that I think is very important to note, one of the things that we're able to do for our program is pay for the mental health medications. Now, this is huge because I know that there's not a
Yeah,
ton of programs out there that pay for those. And for our folks, especially getting rehabilitated back into society, that is a huge need.
very much so. Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that. That is a huge benefit that you're right that program has over a lot of others. So it sounds like if I don't have a whole lot of needs, if I just need some help transitioning, I might come in at 90 days and then
Mhm.
I'm either getting set up with regular case management or I'm just probably maybe being fully discharged.
Yeah, refer to the community, whatever's going on.
And then up from there is your transitional caseload, which you said that's a year and a half.
No, up to 1 year, and it's an
Up to
hour and a half.
1 year in services, an hour and a half a month.
Mhm.
But I could do more.
Yeah, yeah. If there's
But
a more of a need now, if they do start to become needing more like intensive, we would move them to that caseload.
right, which is three and a
Three.
half
Mhm.
hours a month, probably about, an hour a week for
Yep.
as much as 2 years,
Mhm.
or if they happen to complete parole or probation.
That's
Okay.
right. Or they're
And
getting really stable.
yeah, that's always the goal.
I like to joke with some of my staff that our job is essentially to work ourselves out of a job, like to make sure that we are helping those individuals get stable in the community, basically to where they don't need us.
That is the idea, definitely. And you mentioned something earlier that made me think. You mentioned, if a client has insurance, that might be something that prompts them out of the program. So
Yes.
what is the I don't know, the payroll requirements? I'm not saying that very well.
Financial requirements, like in our program, there is none. It doesn't matter what their income is. Like we're not charging them for services. So if they have insurance, of course, they're gonna be billed for that insurance first. But if there's any copays, we still pick those up. Because so many of our clients that even though they may start getting an income through disability or they're getting a good job, they have so many other needs that go beyond just mental health care. So we're not going to charge that element. Like some of them are trying to get, for example, if we have somebody that paroles after being incarcerated 30 years, does not have anything. It could be that he's needing to get a car and getting a license, learning a trade or getting him plugged in somewhere. And some of those trades require like equipment or training. So
Yeah.
that cost. And some of our folks may have just different back bills that they have from before they were incarcerated. If they're probation costs can be pretty exponential. So even though they may start making a decent income, a lot of times they have other needs. And then I didn't even mention housing. They may be paying for their housing or wanting to gain independent housing. A lot of our folks are living with family and friends till they can
Sure.
get more stable back in society.
So while you are not directly helping with housing or paying for education, the hope is that your program helps by not charging for enrollment, not charging for medication.
That's right. And as a part of case management, we should be plugging them into different resources that can maybe help pay for housing or help pay for that education component. So we are looking constantly at what other ways can we assist on those needs, even if it's not something we can pay for, how can we assist on that?
Okay.
And then there's a few other things I want to make sure to mention that's important, I think, in my program.
Hmm.
We serve more than just like the big three with Andrew Center. So we serve more than just major depressive disorder, bipolar, and schizophrenia. We also serve PTSD, delusional disorder. If it's a chronic and debilitating mental health diagnosis, we can serve it.
Okay. And you actually took the words out of my mouth. I was going to check in on that. So that does make me wonder if I am, fresh out of the system and really my only struggle is substance use. Am I a good candidate for the program?
No, there does need to be a mental health diagnosis. Now, a lot of our folks are dual diagnosis. There is a high percentage of our individuals having a substance use background, but they have to have a mental health diagnosis to go along with that.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I just wanted to clarify. And there's just a basic question. What's kind of the age group? Do you serve minors that?
Anything above 18. So we don't have a juvenile program here. We will help coordinate from the juvenile system. So when we have individuals released from TJJD, they send us some referrals to help get appointments at Andrews Center, but we aren't taking those individuals on. They're getting plugged into Andrews Center and being served accordingly.
Okay. So if there are any teens, they just get put directly into, like, I guess, children's case management.
That's right. As long as they meet, criteria for services.
Sure.
And then you asked a little bit ago about the referral process. So I did want to mention, once we get those referrals, we have about within 7 days that we are trying to make sure that we get those individuals scheduled to be evaluated and either accepted in the program or denied, depending on, again, what that need is. And then from there, we don't have a wait list. We don't usually run a wait list. A lot of times there's not a need. We steadily run I say numbers, that's not the right word. We steadily run those caseloads within the appropriate numbers that we just haven't ever had to have a wait list.
That's wonderful. So if I'm, again, fresh out of the system, I might get seen by someone in a week or two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially those coming out of TDC, there's a good chunk of them that are on medication. So we need to see them ASAP so that we can get them evaluated and then scheduled for that doc appointment all before they run out of medication. That's a high priority to make sure they're coming out stable. We're going to keep them stable.
Well, Ashley, I appreciate all your information, and it really stands out to me how much this program hopes to help a group of people that could really struggle to help themselves. Fresh out, like you said, maybe 30 years inside, you don't have a whole lot of opportunities. So this program is going to try to do what it can to assist those people, assist in that transition to the free world.
Absolutely. I love this program. I've been with it for, I think, like 6-7 years now. And the help that they provide is phenomenal. Anybody that knows me, I mean, I can definitely brag on this program for a while.
And I'm sure you can think back to clients like, we helped that person. We made a difference in that person's life after incarceration, help them feel normal in society again.
Absolutely.
That is wonderful. At this point, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
That is all I can think of off the top of my head. So I just hope this has helped to teach somebody a little bit about our program. And of course, any questions, they're always welcome to call and ask, like myself directly or my office coordinator, and we're happy to answer those.
Okay. Well, thank you again so much. That is my hope as well, that this is helpful to someone. So you have a great day. Thank you so much.